Hi friends, welcome back. So today I was going to talk about how to make a pattern like this look doable when you open up the package and you see a stack of these printed papers. So first you want to read the entire pattern beginning to end. Now you're going to go, I don't have time for that. You do, because if you don't go through it and read it beginning to end, you probably will find there was a portion of time, significant portion of time that you wasted. And you don't want to do that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So read through beginning to end. Next, the humble post-it note. Place the post-it note on the pattern on the section that you're working on, or directly under it, so that you can not let your eye wander, zone in exactly on where you're working and what you need to be doing and what sizes and places you want to be cutting on your fabric. Next, take that handy dandy marking pen, highlighter, erasable pencil. You may want to go back and just erase all the marks you made on it for some reason. Sorry about clicking. So you're going to want to go through, make notes the first time you read it through. And think about it this way. That one time that you're reading it through is it. You don't have to go back and read through the entire pattern ever again unless you want to. Those are my tips to help you focus on the words on the page, not get tripped up and accidentally cut twice as many of something when in fact you had already cut it. Secondly, the same post-it note, take a few of them and cut them down. Don't use one entire post-it note per pile. I know that many people use the alphabetties and items that are similar to alphabetties for keeping everything organized. And those are great. If you have them and you like them, wonderful. You should use them. If it turns out that you don't want to buy alphabetties and you don't have any, you can just cut up 4 post-it notes into 16 pieces, little strips, and put them on the top of the pile, or use a pin to keep the piece of paper stuck in place with your pile. However you want to do it. You can just use a slip of paper or post-it note, especially if you have scrap paper from printing things that you then turned around and realized you didn't need, or they printed the wrong way or whatever. So that's number 1. Number 2 tip for the day is when you need to use this guy, my friend Jack the Ripper, meet the audience meet Jack. So there is like a fear and dread about having to rip stuff out, which segues me into my concern about having to rip out almost an entire blanket. And it turned out in the end, when I examined it, it turned out that I had one row of, I think, 5 blocks that were sewn in incorrectly, and then one more block that was like in row 2, in the middle of row 2. So that had to be picked apart and taken out. Keeping things pinned in the position they belonged really helped me not get it spun around. And if you ever met me, you would know I am the queen of getting things spun around. So that helped me to avoid that problem. Secondly, when you're working on a project that you inevitably will find at some point in your crafting career where you had to rip out the seam, there's 2 things I'd like to share with you. Those are coming up next. And so now you're saying, well, okay, well, I got this long center seam together. But what about this weirdo seam right here with this funny looking seam allowance? What do I do there? Okay, so in this case, you're going to just fold it over. This is the area that we want to match right here. So the outer edge, if we can get that outer edge where it belongs, and line up this previous seam lines and the edges, put that together, and make sure you jab your finger too with the pin. That always makes sewing more enjoyable. And then you're going to sew right to the corner here. So I sewed right to the very edge there. And then we're going to fold it this way. Get the edges lined up. And we're going to sew right here. Okay, so we have our seam allowance there. Press that flat. And the order has been changed. And after a little bit of snippage here and there, it's just like all the other blocks. As a matter of fact, the points match better than the original ones did. So those are my tips for when you're going to use your seam ripper. Rip it open. I know when you first pick up that seam ripper, it's going to seem so daunting. It's going to seem like to you that it's a huge waste of time, but it's all just part of the journey of producing an art piece sometimes, or if not an art piece, producing a quilt and a gift and something that you enjoyed making. The fact that I'm going to be using kite fabric to make these little kite cuts, it just tickles me more than it probably should. Anyway, I'm going to do a rehearsal on Eleanor Burns' Opposites Attract pattern. I'm going to do a rehearsal block, and no, I don't have the on point ruler or the fussy cut ruler, so I will have to make do. I'm cutting kite patches, so kite patches are kite patches regardless of how you make them, which ruler you use. Okay, I'm doing this, people. Get this ironed. These kind of could use a little bit of ironing too. So after cutting them out and sewing things together, as you can see, the line goes from point to point from there to there. It's pretty much on. I mean, you know. But then when you look at the corners here and here, this side is let's see, 2 inches plus 1/8, and this side is 2 inches plus just, yeah, I guess 1/8. So, yeah. The problem is that there wasn't this much white showing on the demonstration. Excuse me, the illustration in the booklet. So, back to the drawing board. Woohoo!